servant of freedom. Dapper bones, of the SES will of victory. One of the self-proclaimed skulldozers, as our squad proudly calls ourselves. Few stories have ever stuck with me like the one I'm about to tell you, the Battle of Calypso. That was my Malevelon Creek. I wasn't there for the infamous trench battles of the early war, much as I wish I could have been among those honored few who dove first for freedom. But my fight came later, and it was no less brutal. At the time, I had just completed my formative years in university, off duty momentarily. The war had already consumed countless worlds, and I wanted to be prepared for the long game, ready to serve my fellow soldiers not only in war, but in peace. I trained to become a therapist, for when victory came, I wanted to be someone my brothers and sisters in arms could lean on. But truth be told, there have been far too many moments where I doubted I'd live long enough to sit behind that desk. One of those moments was Calypso. The alert came through the night of my graduation. News of an Illuminate attack, a full-scale assault. My father, also a Helldiver, and my most trusted comrade, received the call. Without hesitation, we boarded our destroyer and made for Calypso. The next few days were chaos. The Illuminate descended with all the fury and psychic malice we've come to know. And we met them with righteous vengeance. The fury of the skulldozers, honed into a relentless spear. Back then, I wore different armor, my old set. Lighter, but no less committed to delivering maximum death to the enemy. We dove repeatedly into the burning cities of Calypso, repelling the tentacled menace in wave after wave. But nothing compares to that first mission. You rarely see a Helldiver falter. You never see them run. But what we faced that day, that came close. The Illuminate weren't just attacking, they were hunting, coordinated, surgical, pushing hordes of mind-controlled voteless through narrow streets, using their deaths as smokescreens and cover. Our bullets weren't enough. We scrounged ammo from ruined bunkers, cracked crates open in burning alleys just to reload. Every shot counted. But the true nightmare came with the harvesters. I'll never forget it. We were mid-push, through a boulevard choked with corpses, civilian and enemy alike, when the blue light hit. A beam, razor-thin, cutting through the sky like judgment itself. It sliced through a Helldiver just a few paces ahead. 1 second he was running. The next, he was ash, stiffened mid-motion. His helmet hit the ground before the rest of him disintegrated. Then it stepped from the smoke, a harvester, all gleaming chrome, shifting tentacles, and that single monstrous blue eye locking onto me. I froze. I had no ordnance, no time to call a stratagem, only instinct. I dove. The beam missed by centimeters, searing pavement where I'd just been. Then from the flank, a Helldiver staggered it with a purifier shot. It gave us just enough of an opening. My father and I moved in sync. We each lobbed a 500-kilogram bomb, one under its legs, one straight to the glowing temple. The impact was thunderous. The shield popped. The first blast shattered the street. The second struck true. Cheers erupted. We thought we had it, but the smoke cleared. And the harvester was still standing. Cracked, yes, but alive. We were stunned. Only the combined force of every remaining diver on the ground, coordinating on the fly with overlapping fire and stratagems, finally brought the thing down. That day I learned something chilling. Bugs swarm and eat you. Bots outgun you. But the Illuminate, they think, they adapt, they strategize, they move with the cold calculation of something not just alien, but ancient and malevolent. Later that day, we were surrounded, cut off deep in a city quadrant. We stumbled across an abandoned civilian car, just intact enough to run. My father hotwired it. I manned the mounted HMG. We tore through city streets, fishtailing past craters, dodging psychic blasts and orbital strikes. I fired non-stop as we tore down roads, crawling with overseers and voteless husks. That HMG would become my best friend against the Illuminate. The extraction was worse. We called it in from a ridge overlooking the fallen city. For minutes that felt like hours. We held position as the enemy poured in. Squads of overseers, cloaked assassins, more damn harvesters. We fought with everything we had, just to stay standing. When that shuttle finally touched down, we piled in, bleeding, bruised, burning. And for the first time in days, it was quiet. The ride back to the destroyer was cold, silent. Just the soft thrum of the engines. No cheers. Only the quiet relief of surviving and the dread of what came next. Because deep down, we knew the Illuminate weren't done. I slung the HMG over my shoulder and took a deep breath. Smoke hung low over the shattered street, mingling with the copper dust churned up by dozens of fallen Helldivers. Tremors shook the road beneath our boots, reminders that Calypso fought back too. "Stay close," I whispered, spotting the squad's Hellbomb specialist slithering behind me, backpack glowing ominously. The Illuminate came at us in waves, murderous, cunning, like ghosts dancing just out of range. I could feel their eyes on us. I'd seen them feign retreat only to loop back and ambush our flank. I opened up. Rounds from the HMG snarled down the ancient boulevard, tearing into phalanxes of shield drones and plasma troopers. Bullets chewed craters in the concrete, fire bloomed in the humid air. The Illuminate were intelligent, not mindless brutes. They circled, set traps, and whispered orders in the dark. Each time we fell back, they pressed forward relentlessly. But we had evolved too. As another wave crashed in, Corporal Skull lobbed his backpack Hellbomb into the fray. A gleaming wildfire that blossomed into a deadly nova, incinerating everything in its wake. Bullets never stopped. I barked, "Focus fire on the cloaked runners!" and the squad obeyed. The HMG rattled, spitting lead as the city shrieked with ruptured concrete and wounded cries. Around me, other squads fought their own nightmares. Specters wreathed in holograms, teleporting grunts materializing on roof ledges. In the chaos, I spotted my son, slugging through the smoke 2 streets over, face lit by muzzle flash and fury. He was 19, but every inch a veteran. I swore under my breath and took aim at a charging skirmisher emerging from the haze. The Illuminate counterattacked with everything, warp bolts flaring from the darkness and portable shield cells buzzing overhead. My hands were raw from squeezing the trigger. War had become personal brutality. Every corner of this blasted city was soaked in blood and pain. A friend fell beside me, whispering through broken teeth, "Onwards to hell." Blood bubbled on his lips as I gave him my last medkit. I think he'd always wanted to say that when he died. I nodded back and kept firing. The evacuation horn blared overhead, a screaming demand to pull back. We'd made it to the Plaza extraction point, hearts hammering, bodies burning with exhaustion and heat. My boy limped up to me, arm bleeding freely, eyes blazing with triumph and terror. "Made it, sir," he gasped. I applied a tourniquet, proud and afraid. We had done the impossible, just like we always said we would, together. As our shuttle ascended, I looked down at the scarred city. It was quiet now, save for the distant crackle of dying radios. So many had fallen. I touched the patch on my uniform one last time. It had been my father's. Now it was mine. and soon maybe my sons. Onwards to hell, I told him softly, echoing our old motto. He offered me a weak grin. Always, sir, he said. I squeezed his shoulder. Always, I replied, thinking of all we'd left behind on Calypso. We had one last mission, to remember them and carry their